Hey guys, what's going on? Legion Ruler here playing more RuneScape Dragonwilds. Welcome to our Daily Gaming XP Grind, episode 133. So, right now, we're basically going to be picking a little bit of cabbage, red berries, and some potatoes. What we want to really do is just try to get a little bit more ingredients for cooking. It's something that we work on so often, and we're actually quite bored of cooking right now. Obviously, it's still a fun skill. If we had lots of ingredients, I think it would actually be lots of fun to just sort of run around and be able to just make large amounts. And unfortunately, because I've used so many of my skills, not skills, resources, on this skill already, there's really not a lot left that we can actually use for it. So it's unfortunate, but we'll gather more over the course of time. And obviously, with Valhalla coming into the game, there's just going to be a new and enormous grind. I mean, I could honestly say that I'm probably going to be spending a couple of 100 hours in Valhalla, especially since it's supposed to be about 2 to 3 times the size of the content, or I should say, the map size, right? 2 to 3 times. So there's going to be so much to do in the game, and it's going to take so long to explore it, find hidden chests, find cool blueprints, different things like that. So it's going to take an enormous amount of time, but it's obviously going to be a lot of fun exploring every time you can sort of go to a new region. And as I've talked about a little bit before, I think this game's crazy. I mean, when you sort of first start playing a game, I haven't really felt that way about a game in a very long time. Sort of going to new area and you're not really knowing what you to expect, right? Looking for resources, I was quite surprised you could even get silver and gold. I thought that was going to be something that came a little bit later. So it was really cool actually that we were able to get up to that point, even though there's still so much ahead. But really, that was awesome to be able to do all that, and just the feel when you're going to a new area, not knowing what to expect, what types of monsters. Obviously, it was just the Garo and goblins, but going into the game, I don't think any of us really had any idea that that was just what there was going to be. I think it was more so like waiting to see what we were going to be potentially facing in these gigantic areas, and not knowing is actually really cool. I think it adds a different element of just excitement, and now we just got smashed really hard and we're gonna die, but basically I didn't see that coming either. But ultimately, that's so cool when a game can basically take you from familiar to unfamiliar, and that excitement that comes with it. Obviously, I don't think all games can provide that. Um, I guess it depends on your level of investment in the game too, right? Some games are going to be able to do that for you, and then some are not. So I guess it just really depends. Um, but obviously, I've got a great connection to RuneScape, and so really deep into the lore of it. I mean, enough, not crazy, crazy, right? I don't know all about Saradonim and Zamarok and Guthix and things like that, but it's just so interesting to see how they're going to be tying all that into this game. Obviously, we're on a different continent, but they would have to have knowledge of these gods, right? Or I think they're gods, and yeah, I do believe they are. So just gonna be so interesting to see how all that might tie into these other regions. Obviously a different continent, but they would have had to have heard about it. So it's gonna be interesting to see potentially how NPCs that they add to the game might sort of give a little bit of lore into that as well. So I know there's a lot of people who love lore in the game, and I think that that can actually enhance the everything for you, your gameplay, and just sort of the development. And I know that they've been pretty good about that in past RuneScape games, where you sort of give so much lore, and people really find a connection with that, and just sort of finding out more of the history. I'm sure they've got plenty of stuff on the internet, or maybe even some sort of RuneScape wiki where they sort of go into things like that, and you could get way deeper, or potentially all the information that the game has, because they've got like what 270 quests in a game, and I'm sure in those quests you're going to have people you talk to, and they're all going to have little bits of pieces of information that sort of all tie in together, and then create this epic story of these great legendary people, gods, people who basically did all these incredible things in the Glenor story. So I think right now our inventory is almost full. Just getting sheep and ram, trying to get more resources for cooking. Our inventory is going to be a mess again just because we're doing so many different things. I'm sort of stuck. Okay, let's go ahead and put any raw food that we've got in here, and that way we can work our way to putting all this stuff away. Well, I eventually would like to use all my clean water to make drinks. That's the ultimate goal, really. And these are my anti-poison potions. Let's go ahead and go back out to the Bloodblight Swamp and let's go ahead and see if we can't kill a little bit more stuff. Maybe collect a little bit more upper level herbs, even though these probably won't be herbs that we really use that much of in Fair Hollow. And to be quite honest with you, I really haven't used these herbs a lot in this part of the game. So it's quite interesting, really. Let's see, maybe there's an abyssal demon that potentially spawned in, even though I think it was last episode we killed 3, which was absolutely crazy. Total of 2 here, which was just, that's unheard of for me. I didn't really need any more of those logs. Let's see. No putrid rats. I don't see any more of the plants. Let's just go ahead and grab a little bit more herbs. There should be a teleporter over here, I believe. Maybe not. Okay, there's some more rats we can kill. But unfortunately, our energy's a little bit low. And I guess we decided to work on attack. We don't really use that anymore. We should be using magic, to be quite honest. You don't have a shield, which can actually give you a great disadvantage out here. Let's go ahead and pop to... It's really tough, like I stated. You have a shield when you use range, which makes it so incredibly good. You don't have that with magic, so it's going to present a lot of problems. But now this is going to cause a problem, I believe. The poison meter is going to fill up. So you can avoid getting poison from being in the water. Obviously, you just got to try to get out as fast as possible. And sometimes that's actually not really a possible thing to do. So just do your best to not get stuck in here, as the bar is probably going to fill up rather fast, which I thought it was, and it did. So we got another rat. There's a bunch of rats. Obviously these guys can poison you too, the longer they're going to be hitting you. And if you've got magic out, I think they need to do something to magic. I think you should be able to have a shield. Potentially they're going to add wands. I do believe reading about that. So that will actually allow you to use magic and still have a shield. It's going to be really important. I mean, I don't really see how currently magic can be really efficient fighting something that's going to live for a substantial amount of time, because you're going to be taking a lot of damage actually while fighting that creature, or potentially gaining different things like obviously I don't think there's a lot of them right now, but possibly bleed effects and things like that. So you want to be able to protect yourself. I think it's going to be really important, more so in Fell Hollow, when they add creatures that just are way more damage and like damage potent. I can't think of the right word, but basically that they could do lots of damage to you, and if you don't have a shield, it's going to make it incredibly difficult for your survival. Let's go ahead. I guess you could also use your sort of evade, which I don't really use all that often, but that can actually help you as well to avoid attacks. But still, I think it just makes it a lot more complicated if you have to sit there and sort of like roll around to avoid a monster, when it just doesn't have to be that complicated. Let's see. I would like to collect a lot more onions at some point. It's just a little difficult because I've got so much built in the fractured plains. So it does not make it easy to sort of run around and gather all those resources when I'm lagged in the game and I can't even do anything. There's not much I can do about it. I've went over there plenty of times to try to sort of look at everything we've got built and make decisions based on, can I get rid of this? How would I feel about it? Obviously, I've invested a great deal of time, and I just don't see a point where I can actually do that and feel good about it. Um, I know an auction house it would basically change the game a lot. I wouldn't really like something like that. And I know we're on our own little worlds and everything. So I like that we have to gather the things ourselves. I think that would change the game in a really negative way. Plus, there's no currency. So I really actually like the way things are right now. So much gold and silver. I don't really even pay attention to it anymore, but it looks really cool. Um, it's just not something I really need, so I don't really spend time worrying about that. Such cool graphics in the game. They did such a good job, and I don't even know how long they were really developing this game to get to this point, but I know Fell Hollow is going to be just amazing. And even if it's not like amazing, amazing, I mean, how can it not be? It's more RuneScape. So, I mean, that is also a huge part of it. But I really never thought in a million years, after playing RuneScape for as long as I did, that I would see a game quite like this. I mean, I used to play World of Warcraft all the time, and it was just like so tricky because they're both really entirely different games, but not so much. I think it was really just they're different types, but I always kind of thought if RuneScape had graphics like this, I mean, how much it would have been different. It would have been so crazy. I mean, I already spent like, I don't even know, like 4 years of in real life time, maybe more playing RuneScape, sitting in front of the screen. So it's like with these kind of graphics, would have it made it more time? I don't really know, but it would have been really cool regardless. Fighting some of those giant creatures they've got in the other RuneScape would have just been crazy to see with these good graphics. But I think they can still sort of do something like that. Obviously, not quite the same, right? Because they're going to be totally different creatures. But um, for the most part, it's going to be relatively like the same in that way. They've got the abyssal demon, so obviously he's more, I believe, of some sort of like abyssal, it's like dimension creature. So he's obviously going to be on different planes. So that really makes sense. And as I've stated before, I think they could really go deep into it. We should have had moss giants. I think that would have been really cool in the swamp. Maybe not have goblins. I do like the goblin outposts. I think that's really cool. But at the same time, you could have added moss giants, maybe in the caves. You could have had cave whores. That's obviously not just on Ashenfall. Gillinor. That easily could have been here as well. Cave whores would be really cool. Maybe potentially dropping really cool gear that we could wear that maybe doesn't have great stats. But if you're really into sort of collecting things, you could have maybe put it on a mannequin in your base, and you could have had this really cool outfit, things like that, like a tribal gear. Um, so many different possibilities because a lot of people who play these types of games, they like to collect things. You have like a collection, and even in the other RuneScape with construction, you would be able to build mannequins sort of and base and show all the cool achievements and gear that you've got. So it's like if you want to spend that amount of time sort of collecting all these different rare items, you would be able to do so. And I just think that would be really cool. And I think that they'll add things like that, because the player base will continue to grow, and RuneScape players just happen to be a die-hard type. So I really think that that's something we'll see more of. Um, let's go ahead and drop all the food stuff in there, and then we're going to put this stuff in here. I don't really want to cook anything right now, and the reason for that really is because I need to start stockpiling, so that way when I'm playing, I can do like massive amounts for huge XP jumps. But I mean, we're gonna go over an XP update really quick. 327,000 attack XP, range 65,000, wood cutting 1,002,000, construction 2,014,000, rune crafting 977,000, magic 124,000, mining 4,240,000, artisan 4,128,000, and cooking 487,255. So I mean, we worked on range a little bit. We worked on combat, melee, and ultimately, there's still so much for us to do in the game. And Fell Hollow is creeping up on us. It's going to come a lot faster than I think people really realize. Time sort of flies, especially once you're a little bit older as well. So anyway, guys, we really hope you guys are enjoying our content. And we'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your adventures in RuneScape Dragonwilds. And until next time, Legion Luda out.